Hello friends, a very warm welcome from WOW IS team. This is the part 6 of the May 2023 current affairs, and in this lecture we are going to cover the social issues and the science and technology part 1. In this initiative we are providing you crisp summaries of the Vision monthly magazine at a very nominal price of 599 rupees. There are video lectures also available that I am giving you. This video is part of this series only. These video lectures are free for all and available on our YouTube channel and in the playlist also. But if you want to avail the PDF, then you have to enroll in our course. We are providing it at a very nominal course and the link is provided under the video. Also, you can directly enroll in the course by scanning this QR code, and you can send the payment receipt to us at our mail ID. So let's start with today's topic. Today's topic is social issues. The first topic here is accreditation of higher education institutions. A Radhakrishnan committee was formed for accreditation system of the higher education institutions, and this has been put in public domain for public comments. The committee said that there is a need for strengthening the assessment and accreditation process for preparing a roadmap for National Accreditation Council, which is envisaged in the National Education Policy. National Accreditation Council is one of the 4 verticals of the Higher Education Commission of India. Now, how the accreditation system is done in India? UGC accords recognition to higher education institutions under the provisions of the UGC Act of 1956. Then what are the other key accreditation systems in India? First one is NAAC, or National Assessment and Accreditation Council. It was set up in 1994. It facilitates volunteering institutions to assess their performance. It is valid, the accreditation is valid for 5 years. So after every 5 years, the NACC assessment is required. Then next is National Institutional Ranking Framework. It was formed in November 2015 by Ministry of Education. It is mandatory for all government-run educational institutions to participate in NIRF. Then third one is All India Council for Technical Education. It was set up in 1945 and was given the statutory status in 1987. The objective is it gives approval for starting a new technical institution, for introduction of new courses, or variation in intake capacity in technical institutions. Just be aware about it. It is all about technical institutions, that is engineering field. Next is National Board of Accreditation, NBA. It was established by AICT in 1994 and in 2013 was made completely independent of AICTE. It accreditates programs offered by technical or professional institutions. So its basic function is program accreditation, or giving accord to the programs. Now, what are the challenges in India's accreditation system? First of all, it is a centralized system which results in poor outreach in the federal states. Second, low participation. Out of 1,113 universities, only 418 universities are accredited by NAAC. Then duplication and overlapping, because there are multiple agencies and which have under ambit of union and also under the ambit of state governments, which have been mandated for periodic approvals, assessment, accreditation and ranking of HEI. So it becomes very cumbersome process. Next is challenging procedure. Process for collection of the information sought by accrediting agencies are cumbersome and tiresome. Then also there are allegations of corruption. Now, what are the key recommendations for improving the India's accreditation system of higher education institutions? First of all, composite assessment system. It includes all higher education institutions and every program in the newly proposed assessment and accreditation system. Second, amalgate program accreditation and institutional accreditation considering interdependency and evolve as CAS. Centralized accreditation system. Third one is binary accreditation system. It proposed that transition from the present 8-point grading system of NAAC to a binary accreditation system with accredited and non-accredited. Third one is committee proposed 2 subdivisions in the non-accredited category, awaiting accreditation and non-accredited. Then next is accreditation of schools. Till now we were talking about the higher education institutions. Now we are going to school education. So National Accreditation Board of Education and Training, NABET, is offering accreditation programs called Accreditation Standard for Quality School Governance. It is a constituent board of the Quality Council of India, QCI. It has basically three sections on which the standards are based. First is school governance, second education and support processes, and performance and measurement and improvement. Now with this we have completed the accreditation part. Now we come to the next article, that is sexual harassment at the workplace. Now there are two types of sexual harassment at the workplace. One is quid pro quo. It is a harassment which implies seeking sexual favors or making sexual advances in exchange for benefits at the work. Second is hostile work environment, involves uninvited and unwelcome conduct or behavior, maybe physical, verbal, non-verbal or visual, which create work environment that makes it uncomfortable for a worker to be there. Now, about sexual harassment at workplace. To make workplaces safer for women by preventing, prohibiting and redressing acts of sexual harassment against them in the workplace. Sexual Harassment of Women at the Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act or post 2013 was enacted regarding it. It was based on the Vishaka guidelines laid down by Supreme Court in its judgment passed in 1997. So Vishaka guidelines is important part here. Before this Sexual Harassment Act, Vishaka guidelines used to govern the sexual harassment cases in our private organizations or private space. Now Vishaka guidelines defined sexual harassment. It imposed three key obligations on institutions: prohibition, prevention and redressal, which are key basic principles for addressing the sexual harassment problem, that is prevention, prohibition, prevention and redressal. Then mandated institutions to establish a complaint committee. Now under the Posh Act of 2013, what are the provisions? First of all, it defines sexual harassment as physical contact or advances, demand or request for sexual favors, then making sexually colored remarks, showing pornography or any other unwelcome physical, verbal or non-verbal conduct of a sexual nature. Now it also defines workplace. It says any place visited by the employee arising out of or during the course of employment, including transportation provided by the employer for undertaking such a journey. The workplace covers both organized and unorganized sectors. Now, complaints committee, an internal complaints committee is mandatory in every private public organization which is having 10 or more employees. It needs to have minimum of 4 members and at least half of them should be women and one should be an external member. ICC has powers similar to those of a civil court. District officer shall constitute local committee to receive complaints from organization with less than 10 workers and if complaint is against the employer itself. Next is procedure for filing complaints. The complaint must be made within 3 months from the date of incident. However, ICC can extend the time limit. Then conciliation. ICC may before inquiry request the aggrieved woman to take steps to settle the matter between her and the respondent through conciliation. However, no monetary settlement shall be made the basis of conciliation. So monetary settlement cannot be a basis for the conciliation. ICC may either forward the victim's complaint to the police or can start an inquiry to be completed within 90 days. When the inquiry is completed, the ICC must provide a report of its finding to the employer within 10 days. Then actions against the perpetrator. Allegations of sexual harassment are proved, the ICC will recommend the employer to take action in accordance with the provisions of the service rules of the company. Then appeal. If either the aggrieved woman or the respondent is not satisfied, they may appeal in court within 90 days. What about false complaints? ICC may recommend to the employer that it takes action against the woman or the person who made the complaint in accordance with the provisions of the service rules. Next is news in short. First is Poshan Padhai scheme. Now, Union Ministry of Women and Child Development has launched this PBPB scheme. It is going to focus on early childhood care and education for first 6 years of the child at Anganwadis. Now, what are the key highlights? It envisages training of the Anganwadi workers through the National Institute of Public Cooperation and Child Development. It targets child's development in every domain in the national curriculum framework like physical, motor development and cognitive development. It will focus on promoting holistic and quality early simulation and pre-primary education for the children. ECC refers to providing care including health and nutrition as well as early learning opportunities to all young children. It is a crucial component of the mission SHAKSHAM Anganwadi and Poshan 2.0, Mission Poshan 2.0, and it was foreseen under the National Education Policy 2020. Anganwadi centers are established under Integrated Child Development Scheme of 1975. Next is child malnutrition. Levels and trends in child malnutrition, a joint child malnutrition estimate 2023 was released. It was published by UNICEF, WHO and World Bank Group. It reveals insufficient progress to reach 2025 World Health Assembly Global Nutrition Targets and 2030 Sustainable Development Goals 2.2. What are the key findings? In 2022, 22.3% of the children under age 5 worldwide were affected by shunting, too short for his or her age. India has a shunting rate of 31.7% in 2022, so that it is very high above the global levels. However, it has came down from 41.6% in 2012. So we have made progress in the last decade, but the progress is too short. We need to reduce it more. Next is, in 2022, an estimated 45 billion children were affected by wasting, too thin for his or her height. In 2020, 18.7% of the Indian children were affected by wasting caused by poor nutrition intake or recurrent illness. 37 million children, 5.6% under 5 are overweight, too heavy for his or her height globally. India has an overweight percentage of 2.8% in 2022 and it was 2.2% in 2012. So it has actually increased. Now next topic is issue of child marriage. According to UNICEF, 640 million girls and women live today were married at a childhood or 12 million girls per year. Next, global child marriage rates decreased slightly to 19% but is insufficient to meet the SDG targets of ending child marriage by 2030. Reasons for child marriage: gender inequality, social norms, poverty, lack of education, safety concerns about children, control over sexuality. What are the initiatives taken? Prohibition of Child Marriage Act of 2016 provides legal age of marriage. These are the initiatives that have been taken. Then Beti Bachao Beti Padhao scheme and similar schemes to improve the factors linked to child marriage. And a parliamentary standing committee weighing the pros and cons of raising the child marriage for women to 21. So this has been under the consideration that the marriage age should be increased to 21. Next is impact of child marriage on girls. Risk of child and maternal health. Face an increased risk of early pregnancy. Then isolate girl from family and friends. They are less likely to remain in school and they are subjected to domestic violence and sexual abuse. Next is internal displacement. Internal Displacement Monitoring Center IDMC released its 2023 global report on internal displacement GRID. GRID is world's leading source of data and analysis on internal displacement. 2023 edition includes special focus on complex relationship between disaster, conflicts, violence, food security and ID or internal displacement. IDMC was established in 1998 as a part of Norwegian Refugee Council. What are the key findings? Total number of IDPs reached its highest level with 71.1 million IDPs across 110 countries and territories at the end of 2022, a 20% increase in the year. Total IDPs in India include 6.31 lakh from conflicts and violence, while 32,000 due to disasters. 75% of the countries assessed with food security crisis have IDPs. The next is National Human Rights Commission NHRC accreditation. Global Alliance for National Human Rights Institutions GANHRI defer NHRC's accreditation. This GANHRI is responsible for reviewing and accrediting national human rights institutions in compliance with the Paris Principles every 5 years. So this is done after every 5 years. These Paris Principles were adopted in 1993 by the UN General Assembly, and it helps in development of standards for NHRI across the world. There are 6 criteria that have been mentioned under the Paris Principles: mandate and competence, autonomy from government, independence guaranteed by a statute or constitution, then pluralism, adequate resources, adequate power of investigation. In 2016 also, NHRC's accreditation was deferred by a year, and later in its recommendations in 2017, GANHRI asked the NHRC to address its lack of diversity regarding women representatives from other marginalized social groups. An amendment to the Protection of Human Rights Act in 2019 was sought to address these concerns. It increased the members of NHRC and the chairperson of the National Commission for Backward Classes, National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, and Chief Commissioner of Persons with Disabilities deemed members of NHRC. So there has been a provision for more diversity in the National Human Rights Commission. Now, something about Global Alliance for National Human Rights Institution, GANHRI. It was established in 1993 as an international coordinating committee of national institutions for promotion and protection of human rights. General Assembly is the supreme deliberative body, and Bureau is the executive committee of the GANHRI. And its headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland. Now, last topic for the social issues is SHAKSHAM Learning Management Information System, or LMIS. Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has launched this LMIS. SHAKSHAM stands for Stimulating Advanced Knowledge for Sustainable Health Management. It was developed by National Institute of Health and Family Welfare, New Delhi, and SHAKSHAM is a dedicated and unified platform for providing online training and medical education to all health professionals in the country. So you should know about what is SHAKSHAM and whom it targets. It targets the health professionals, and it is a dedicated and unified platform regarding that provision. Now, second part of the day is science and technology. Here, we are going to first cover three parents baby. Three parents baby has been born using three people's DNA in UK with the help of mitochondrial donation treatment MDT procedure. So you have to remember this procedure, mitochondrial donation treatment. Next is, it is a technique in which a child is conceived from IVF, in vitro fertilization, using the genetic material of the parent and mitochondrial material of the donor. It works on the principle in which the diseased mitochondria are replaced by healthy mitochondria in order to avoid transfer of mitochondrial diseases from mother to the offspring. It is also known as mitochondrial replacement therapy and three-parent babies process due to involvement of three persons. Now, mitochondria and mitochondrial diseases. Mitochondria are basically the powerhouses of the cell. I hope you know the basic structure of the cell. Mitochondria is a vital part of the human or any living organism cell, and in the human cell, mitochondria do have the extranuclear DNA. So if there are any issues in that extranuclear DNA, then there can be problems with the child also. So for the extranuclear DNA or mitochondrial DNA, we actually replace the mitochondria from the original cell. We are going to discuss what is the procedure for that in the coming part. Now, they generate the energy and thus are responsible for cell function. So you should know about what is mitochondria. The disease arise out of such mitochondrial mutations are called mitochondrial diseases. When the mitochondria are impaired, they do not produce sufficient energy that affects how the organ function, leading to a broad assortment of symptoms. Unlike nuclear DNA, which comes from both parents, mitochondrial DNA comes only from the mother. You have to remember this thing. Mitochondrial DNA only comes from the mother. If the father is not having any disease, then if the father is affected by a mitochondrial disease, that disease is not going to go in the child. However, if the mother is having any mitochondrial disease, that disease specifically will be going and absolutely will be going to the child, right? The diagram has been shown to you. Now, what is the basic process? In the basic process, what we have is that, for example, this is the mother's fertilized egg. From the mother's fertilized egg, there is an unhealthy mitochondria and the nuclear material. This nuclear material is extracted out of this mother's fertilized egg. Now, a donor's fertilized egg is taken, and from that also the nuclear material is taken out, and only the healthy mitochondria is left behind. This parent's nuclear material is then put in the donor's egg. So this becomes a three-parent baby. This mitochondria has the DNA or nuclear material from the father and the mother, and the donor's mitochondrial DNA is there. So it has DNA of 3 persons. So it becomes a 3-parent baby. Next is most common technique in mitochondrial donation. There are 2 techniques, MST and PNT. MST and PNT I am going to discuss right now. In both techniques, eggs or embryos are created using nuclear genetic material and healthy donated mitochondria. The resulting embryos would contain parents' genetic material. Both techniques work equally well. First is maternal spindle transfer MST technique. In this, what happens is that unfertilized donor egg is taken, unfertilized patient egg is taken. From both the eggs, the the nuclear material is taken out. The nuclear material from the patient's egg or parent's egg is taken out and is put in the donor's egg. And then after putting that, it is then fertilized and a healthy baby is born. In the pro-nuclear transfer technique, which is substitute of MST, what happens is that first of all the donor egg is taken and the patient egg is taken. Both the eggs are first fertilized. After fertilization, the nuclear material is taken out and the nuclear material from the mother's nuclear DNA is put in the donor's egg. This is the donor egg. It is put in the donor egg and then the embryo is formed. So this is your PST technique or pro-nuclear transfer technique. Now what are the benefits of this technique? It helps in prevention of diseases. 1 in every 6,000 babies is affected by mitochondrial disorder. Then genetic connection. MST can assist older women with poor quality of egg to have a biologically related child by retaining the woman's nuclear DNA while using mitochondria from the younger donor. It provides a nuclear reproductive freedom. Now second topic of the day is antimicrobial resistance or AMR. WHO and Global AMR R&D Hub has released the Incentivizing the Development of New Antibacterial Treatments 2023 report. It covers these G7 countries monitoring and handling of AMR, how they are focusing on the antimicrobial resistance. This global AMR R&D Hub, it is a partnership of the countries, NGOs and intergovernmental organization, was launched in 2018 to address the challenges and improve the coordination and collaboration in global AMR R&D using a One Health approach. So this approach is important. One Health approach. It is about antimicrobial resistance. According to WHO, antimicrobial resistance occurs when bacteria, virus, fungi and parasites change over time and no longer respond to medicines, making infection harder to treat and increasing the risk of disease spread, severe illness and death. Example you can see by yourself. Next is, what are the drivers of AMR? It is misuse and overuse of antimicrobials, lack of enforcement of legislature, then lack of awareness and knowledge, poor access to quality affordable medicine, vaccines and diagnostics, and lack of access to clean water, sanitation and hygiene known as WASH for both humans and animals. Examples you can take: Staphylococcus aureus, Mycobacterium tuberculosis, Escherichia coli, Acinetobacter baumannii, then Klebsiella pneumoniae. What is the consequence of AMR? It increases the medical cost and results in higher cost of second line drugs because of the higher cost of the second line drugs. Second line drugs means initially when you are affected by any disease, you are provided the first level of drugs. If they are able to treat it, then it's good. If they are not able to treat it, then you are going to provide it with the second line drugs. That is, they are more stronger drugs. Then it also leads to prolonged human stay, so again leading to higher medical cost. It also increases mortality, that means increased deaths. Then it can lead to rise of superbugs, and it has an economic cost which can result in annual GDP shortfall of around USD 3.4 trillions. Now, what are the global steps that have been taken for handling the antimicrobial resistance? First one is Global Action Plan on Antimicrobial Resistance by WHO. It will ensure a continuity of successful treatment and prevention of infectious diseases with effective and safe medicines. Second is Aware Access Watch Reserve Tool. It is developed by WHO Essential Medicine List containing rising in resistance and make antibiotic use safer and more effective. Third one is Global Antimicrobial Resistance and Use Surveillance System GLASS by WHO. It was launched in 2015 to foster AMR surveillance and inform strategies to contain AMR. Then what are the steps taken by India? National Action Plan on Containment of Antimicrobial Resistance (NAP-AMR) was launched in 2017. It focuses on integrated One Health approach and involves coordination among various sectors at state, national and international levels. Second is Delhi Declaration on AMR. It is an inter-ministerial consensus was signed by ministers of the concerned ministries pledging their wholehearted support to the AMR containment. So it is Delhi Declaration. Third is initiatives to increase awareness about antibiotics misuse. Banned 40 fixed dose combinations which were found inappropriate. Then Antibiotic Stewardship Program AMSP to control misuse and overuse of antibiotics in hospital wards and ICUs. Then other factors leading to AMR. Triple planetary crisis. It refers to three main interlinked issues that humanity currently faces: climate change, pollution and biodiversity loss. Climate change and AMR. A warmer global climate may also lead to more widespread resistance as higher temperatures can increase the rate at which genes are transferred from microbes to microbe. Biodiversity loss and AMR. The loss of biodiversity even at the microbial level can as well develop AMR among the microbes. Pollution and AMR. Effluent from the pharmaceutical industry, hospitals, human waste and agriculture exposes germs to drugs, giving them more chances to evolve resistance from them. Then COVID-19 pandemic. Pandemic has accelerated AMR because of the widespread consumption of antibiotics during the various waves. Then what are the suggestions to handle AMR? Enhance environmental governance, planning and regulatory frameworks to reduce and minimize environment release of AMR relevant pollutants. Sweden appointed world's first AMR ambassador. Then transparency and accountable system to hold producers accountable for prudent antimicrobial use. Next is identify and target priority AMR relevant pollutants, improve reporting, surveillance and monitoring, and multi-sectoral One Health response to AMR will not only reduce the risk and burden of AMR on societies but also help address the triple planetary crisis. Now what are the related news? One is fungal disease in plants. According to a study published, 10 to 23% loss in crop is due to fungal diseases. The five most important crops, rice, wheat, maize, soya beans and potato, are vulnerable to fungal diseases such as rice blast furnaces, wheat stem rust, corn smut, soybean rust, potato late blight. So you have to remember the name of these diseases and you have to remember that these are caused by fungus. Now something about fungal diseases. They can be single fungus के लिए बात करेंगे. Fungi can be a single cell or multicellular organisms. They cause great majority, around 2/3 of the infectious plant diseases. They include all white and true smuts, rust smuts, needle cast, leaf curls, mildews, sooty molds, and anthracnose. What are the sources? The sources are infected seed, soil, crop debris, nearby crop and weeds. Fungi spread by wind, water splash, through movement of contaminated soil, animal, workers, machinery, tools, seedlings and other plant materials. They enter plant through natural openings such as stomata and through wounds caused by pruning, harvesting, hail, insects and other diseases and mechanical damage. So with this we complete for today's session. We shall come back tomorrow with the complete session on the science and tech. So thank you very much and have a very nice day.